Hey, Gary here. I want to dive straight into NotebookLM because I've been using NotebookLM quite a bit. I've been talking about it here on the channel, and really the idea and the concept here is to take notes, meaning you load sources into one notebook and then have Google Gemini really just focus and become an expert on those sources to help you generate ideas and to come up with ways to create content. Now, one of those ways that they've just come up with, or one of the ways that they've just customized, or they are giving you what may appear to be customization, is the deep dive conversation. Now, I'm one to say straight up, this idea of creating a podcast or taking this audio and putting it in a public facing, like a YouTube channel, where you have these two guests talk about this, and thinking that you're going to have that as your traffic source, or that's going to somehow be a good way for you to generate traffic to your offers and then put people on an email list, it just doesn't work. It's not feasible. Now, this customization button that they've added, it allows you, or it is giving you sort of what I think maybe is just a good feeling, or they are working towards giving you the ability to start customizing. I'm not so sure it does, and I'm going to show you an example of that, and we'll see together here if the customization actually works to the point that I think it needs to get to. So what you have here is you have the ability to configure audio overview. What should the AI host focus on? And it says, things to try, focus on a specific source. So if you have multiple sources like I have here, where I have 5 different sources, you could tell it to just cover a certain aspect of that source, or maybe just to focus on that one source. Focus on a specific topic. Talk about the key capabilities and limitations of diffusion models as their example. This is what I want to do. I want to give it 3 questions, and questions that actually come from here inside of NotebookLM that it came up with, and then think about how to open it up with a certain type of introduction, answer or focus on 3 questions, and then give me a conclusion to sort of try to control, because I think ultimately that's what you need to be able to do. Ultimately, you will have to be able to control the conversation or interject. I think that would be even more powerful, to interject into the conversation, or as the conversation is happening in, near real time, to be able to stop, ask questions, and adjust. If you were going to try to use this to actually create content where you created a podcast or a YouTube channel and just had these AIs answering questions or talking about a specific topic. Otherwise, if you go and you check this out, this is where I loaded up one of my sales pages, and I gave it a prompt, and I wanted it to just talk about the product or the benefits of the product, but it created a 21-minute, almost a 22-minute podcast or deep dive, but really, it didn't really do, or didn't follow the instructions that I gave it. I told it that I wanted it to focus on the benefits of the sales page and target an audience of people who were beginners and tell them why this product would help them. But really, it was still sort of talking about sales page tactics and the things that were on the sales page, what they liked, what they didn't like about those certain tactics, or the way that the sales page was written. And that's really not what I wanted. So what I want to do is I want to go back to rooftop gardens. And what I've done here, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. There are 3 suggested questions here. These 3 suggested questions from NotebookLM are the only thing that I want these presenters, the 2 AI hosts, to talk about. I want them to create an introduction, talk about these 3 questions, and then wrap it up with a simple conclusion. So I'm going to click the Customize button. Then I'm going to paste in exactly what I want it to say. And you can see down here, this prompt must be less than 500 characters. And hopefully I can clean this up a little bit just by taking out the spaces. I don't know if it is going to count those as characters. If not, I'll take this over to Gemini and I will have it write this. And yeah, so what I wanted to do here is I wanted to give a short conclusion and say, for more information, check out our website at rooftoptomatogardens.com, because all these sources are about gardening or creating a rooftop tomato garden. So I want this conversation to be short. I want to have an introduction. I want the host to focus on just these 3 questions that I got from NotebookLM. Then I wanted to wrap up and give a short conclusion, and then use a CTA, or say, for more information, check out our website. That way it leads people. So if I was creating a podcast or a YouTube channel, this is the kind of things that I would need it to do. So what I'm going to do here in Google Gemini is I'm going to try to shorten this. Shorten this prompt to less than 500 characters. Do not change the wording of the 3 questions when you shorten the prompt. And let's see if we can get a shorter version of this, because I really want to include these 3 questions. So yeah, and you can see it didn't do what I wanted it to do, but let's go ahead, and it came up with 488 characters. Let's go ahead and ask it again. Give me a prompt for NotebookLM. And let's see if it, and I may have been too vague there, but I wanted it to prompt NotebookLM. Yeah, see, I was too vague there. So that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this, and I'm just going to shorten it myself. So what I did is I just took out that introduction section, because I'm sure they'll introduce it anyway. And I just said, do not use the words. And I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if it'll take this instruction, but I think this is important. I think it's important to be able to tell it what not to do much as what to tell it to do. So do not use words deep dive or exactly at any time during this conversation. Then I just shortened it to 2 questions. And I took those 2 questions down here from NotebookLM that it suggested. And then I want the CTA give a short conclusion and say, for more information, check out our website at rooftoptomatogardens.com. I think that, again, just like being able or having the power or the ability to tell it what not to say, to give it specific instructions on what to say at the end to use a CTA would be the most powerful thing that you could get as far as being able to customize the conversation if you were going to use this for a podcast or a YouTube channel, which honestly, I just don't think this technology is there, and I'm not sure that it'll be there anytime soon. But let's just go ahead and use this short prompt or this input to tell the AI what it should focus on and see what we get. Now, this has been taking a bit longer since they introduced this customization, or that's what I've seen. But like I showed you in the 49er method, it created a 22-minute podcast after I gave it a prompt. And that prompt I actually got from Gemini, just like I did a second ago. And I asked Gemini to give me a prompt to direct NotebookLM to focus only on the benefits of the sales page for beginners looking to make money online. And this is the prompt it gave me. But I just noticed, or I'm now thinking that it said analyze the sales page. So I think wording or phrasing like that, analyze the sales page for a beginner's guide to making money online, even though then I said focus on identifying and explaining the key benefits, I still talked about analyze the sales page, or my prompt still referenced the phrase. And this is one of the things that when you're using AI, just like if you're talking to a person, right? You have to be very specific, or sometimes you'll say things that you have going on in your brain, like, hey, just give me a prompt to direct NotebookLM to focus on the benefits of the sales page. Then I just glossed over the fact that it actually says analyze the sales page, because I'm thinking analyze the sales page from the angle of just pull out the benefits to make sure that you highlight the benefits of the product, thinking as a marketer, the focus should be on telling people about the benefits that I see from the sales page, then moving on to go purchase the product. But in this case, the phrase analyze the sales page means to the AI, or that 22-minute conversation inside of this one right here, that 22-minute conversation inside of this notebook, analyze the sales page meant to analyze it, analyze the components of the sales page, and break it down so the beginner understands what's going on the sales page, and then start talking about the benefits. And that's why I got a 22-minute conversation. And of course, they said deep dive, and they said exactly in that conversation. And I noticed that in a YouTube video in the comments, they were saying, yeah, we need to be able to get it to not say exactly or not say deep dive. And I think, again, that is the power, or that's where the customization is really going to come into play. And as you can see, this is still generating the conversation. So I'll pause this, and when this generates, we'll come back and we'll have a listen to see if it focused on these 2 questions. All right, so we're back, and that took about 4 or 5 minutes to generate. So here you can see the audio overview. It is 12 minutes and 42 seconds. We'll go ahead and give it a listen here together. But before I press play, remember, we're just having it, or I just wanted to focus on just these 2 questions. And it did come up with a 12-minute and 42-second podcast here. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
Hey there, tomato lovers. Ever thought about ditching the supermarket and growing your own tomatoes right from your rooftop?
It's a really cool idea, and we're here to guide you every step of the way.
We've got a ton of expert advice and insider tips to turn your rooftop into a tomato haven.
We'll show you how to pick the perfect spot on your roof, find the right containers.
And we'll even reveal why planting those tomatoes extra deep is like giving them like a super boost of energy.
It's true. Okay, but before we get carried away with dreams of fresh salsa, let's do a quick reality check on your roof.
Good point. We got to be practical.
Right, so weight limits, water access, these are crucial things to consider.
Definitely. I never even thought about weight limits on a roof.
Yeah, one expert suggested calling an engineer if you're unsure, especially if you're using those big, heavy containers.
Oh, wow. That's good advice. Better safe than sorry, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of containers, you might be surprised to learn that garden soil,
Wait.
it's a no-go for rooftops.
Wait, really? Why is that? I always thought garden soil was like the best thing for growing anything.
You'd think so, but it can actually be too heavy and dense for containers, especially up on a roof.
Ah, I see. So it's a drainage issue.
Exactly. Plus, all that extra weight. Not good for your roof. Instead, you'll want to use a lightweight potting mix that drains well.
So it's about finding that balance between good soil and a happy roof.
You got it. Now let's talk about the sun. Because tomatoes, well, they really love those rays, don't they?
They sure do. But rooftops can get scorching hot. Is that ever too much sun, even for a tomato?
It definitely can be. It's important to remember.
So I'm going to pause right there. And, it's not really what I expect, right? Because if you go back and you look at the questions, I wanted it to focus in on what challenges and solutions are presented for growing tomatoes on a rooftop garden. But I guess, and again, this goes into being specific, I guess it is addressing the question, but I would prefer if they would have introduced it and said, and today we're going to talk about today we're going to answer two questions. What challenges and solutions are presented for growing tomatoes on a rooftop garden? And then sort of dive into challenges and solutions instead of just sort of, hey, we're going to talk about rooftop garden and tomatoes or gardening, on a rooftop for a tomato garden. And then it just sort of starts going into these things, but I have no idea of what it's going to talk about, and I have to listen to this or I have to download it and then I have to get it transcribed. Another thing I would like is for it to actually give me a transcription, which I know it can do, right? If it can generate the audio, which it's just doing speech from text, right? It's generating text and then generating the audio. It'd be cool if they would just give me the transcript right here so I could read it and do whatever I wanted to with it at that point, as far as using, text to speech, or just allowing me to read it really quickly at a glance, because I can speed it up here and I can listen to this at two times speed here inside of the interface. So that would still be about 6 minutes for us to sit here and listen to this entire conversation. But at this point, I think in this video that I'm making here, you can see, or you are probably with me, that the customization option, so inside of NotebookLM, when you create a new notebook, that this audio customization, this audio overview customization, it doesn't really, or at this point, it just kind of feels like they're starting to build out the ability for you to customize, but it doesn't really give me the ability to customize. And I hope that statement makes sense, but it just feels like they are starting to give us a little taste of what might be possible, but not really giving us a lot of control. Although I did say not to use the word exactly and not use the word deep dive, so it didn't start off like it normally does and say, hey, welcome to today's deep dive, or today we're going to deep dive into this conversation, and then the other guy or the other participant or the other host typically says exactly. It happens quite often, and I think if you've used this a lot, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Full-blown urban farm.
And remember, if you're hungry for more tips, tricks, and inspiration, head over to our website, rooftoptomatogardens.com.
We've got everything you need to get started. Happy growing.
So let me know in the comments what you think about this configure audio overview and this customization option, and where you think this is heading and how you're using NotebookLM. And thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.